The town of Ravenshade, Massachusetts, was once a bustling mill town in the early 1900s. By the mid-20th century, industry faded, families moved away, and Ravenshade became a ghost town. Only a handful of people remained, stubbornly refusing to leave, knowing the town held a sinister secret. In 2024, Ravenshade remained hidden in plain sight, its roads cracked, buildings sagging, and air thick with eerie silence. Few dared to enter, and those who did rarely spoke of it afterward. Journalist Ethan Carter received a tip about a vanishing city for an urban legends documentary. Ethan parked his rental car at the entrance to the town. The road signs were rusted, barely legible, but one word stood out: stay out. Ignoring the warning, he walked down the cracked asphalt road, recording every step. Empty houses, abandoned stores, and eerie silence surrounded him. According to historical records, the town was abandoned in the late 1970s after mysterious disappearances. Some believed it was due to an underground mine collapse, while others whispered about the Ravenshade curse. Ethan scoffed at the idea, but felt something watching him. He reached the town square, where an old church tower stood tall, its bell rusted and broken. The clock on its face was frozen at 3:33 a.m. Ethan shivered, trying to shake off the unease. Then he heard a whisper in the wind, calling his name. He spun around, but the streets were empty. Ethan set up camp inside the old Ravenshade Inn. A strange sound jolted him awake, a distant scream echoing through the empty streets. Grabbing his flashlight, he peered through the broken window. A figure stood near the church, tall and motionless, wrapped in tattered black robes. The figure had no face, only darkness where its eyes should be. Then it turned toward him. Ethan stumbled back, heart hammering. A slow, deliberate knock on the door followed. He held his breath, clutching his flashlight. The knocking stopped, but a yellowed piece of paper lay on the floor. Scrawled in messy handwriting were the words, "Leave before 3:33 a.m. It takes you then." A chill ran down his spine. He looked at his watch. 3:29 a.m. Determined to find answers, he explored deeper into town, discovering an old library filled with rotting books and faded newspapers. One article caught his eye. Town of Ravenshade doomed? Last family vanishes without a trace. It was dated March 3rd, 1978. The accompanying photo showed the Wilkins family, but their faces were blurred, distorted. He found a locked wooden chest and opened it, revealing old cassette tapes. Shaking, he played the first tape. The voice of a terrified man crackled through. "If you're hearing this, you're in danger. The town, it's alive. It doesn't let you leave. The moment you step in, you're part of it." The tape cut off into static. The second tape was even worse, screams. Ethan shut off the recorder, his hands shaking. Then footsteps, slow, deliberate, coming from the entrance of the library. He turned off his flashlight and held his breath. A shadow moved past the doorway. It wasn't human. It had elongated limbs, its head tilted at an unnatural angle. Ethan ran through the rotting library, through the empty streets, toward his car. But the town had changed. The buildings stretched taller, warped and unnatural. The roads twisted, leading him in circles. No matter which way he ran, he always ended up back in the town square. The church bell, which had been broken, was now ringing. 3:31 a.m. He was out of time. From the shadows, the faceless figures emerged, dozens of them. Their whispers filled the air, a maddening chorus of voices. "Join us. Stay forever." Ethan fought to keep running, but the ground turned to mist. The clock struck 3:33 a.m. A final scream echoed through Ravenshade, and then silence. A week later, Ethan's producer, Sarah Wallace, drove to Ravenshade, looking for him. But when she arrived, there was nothing. No buildings, no town, just an empty, overgrown field. His car was gone, his equipment, his tent, everything had vanished. She checked her phone, scrolling through the last messages he had sent. The final one read, "I think I know why they call it a vanishing city. If I don't make it out, tell people. Don't come here." Sarah swallowed hard, stepping back toward her car. Then, a whisper in the wind. "Sarah." She turned, her blood running cold. The air felt wrong. The sky seemed darker. And in the distance, she saw the outline of a town that hadn't been there before. The town of Ravenshade had returned.